Have you read this book? Capitalist Nigger by Chico Onyeni. In it, he says the following, that Black people are economic slaves, a consumer race, that Blacks lack discipline, lack persistence in the face of adversity, that Black people are lazy, a race that believes it's owed something. A continent holding the greatest share of the world's resources, yet Africa remains the poorest continent in the world. In most African countries, there's no good drinking water, no electricity, no good healthcare, yet we're supposedly independent. Independent, but still under the yoke of colonialism. It is a joke and the height of stupidity to claim independence when you still depend on your oppressors. Did that provoke you? Because it provoked me. But I kept reading, not out of judgment, but out of curiosity. And somewhere between the sting of his words and the punches they threw, I began to see something else. A roadmap, a path leading to the true transformation of the African continent. And that path began with a mirror. The first action was realizing that corruption may never end, that politicians may continue to steal, so the development of the African continent can no longer rest in their hands. Because the war we fight isn't just against political corruption, it's deeper. It's against economic enslavement. So what is transformation to me? It's a decision, it's a commitment to stop waiting. Stop waiting for the good, stop waiting for a magical cure to corruption. Because as Onyeni warns, we cannot continue to build castles in the sky. Think about it. We boast about our fashion sense, but whose products are you buying? Look around your home. Even the kettle, the fridge, everyday appliances almost always come from outside this continent. If Onyeni taught me one thing from his book, it's this. Africa cannot rise on borrowed foundations. Our pride cannot only come in the things that we have, but in the things that we create, the things that we own, the things that we produce. Now, the practical part. How do we take charge of our economy? First, it begins with the mindset. You need to start to ask yourself a very critical question. What am I doing right now to add value to my community? That question alone changes how you approach your studies, your career, and your spending. Second, to apply the spiderweb doctrine introduced by Onyeni. It's not complicated. It's as simple as choosing to buy African. Next time you go to the shops, ask, is there a local option? Before running to fast fashion, check, is there a local store or local designer that can satisfy your needs? Because every naira, every rand, every cedi needs to strengthen our web, not someone else's. Third, the understanding that this road is not one that can be traveled alone. Need networks, partnerships, and communities that are willing to build together. Whether that's supporting students starting their small businesses, or professionals mentoring young people, communities pulling resources together. Collaboration multiplies impact. And we don't have to look far to know that it is indeed possible. Look at Aliko Dangote. His industrial empire doesn't just import, it produces cement, sugar, and oil for the African continent, demonstrating that indeed we can dominate global industries. Look at Patrice Motsepe, who helped build African Rainbow Minerals into one of the top mining firms in the country, demonstrating that we can take control of the resources under our own soil. Look at President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso, who continues to challenge Western ideologies and advocate for an Africa that is self-sufficient and independent. These African giants show us that the story of Africa is not just one of potential, but that it's being written. But let me pause there. Because when I closed Onyeni's book, I didn't just think of Traoré or Motsepe, or Dangote. I thought of myself. And I realized that it's not enough for me to just clap for African giants. I must become a giant. And that required me to ask simple but uncomfortable questions. Am I proud of being African in theory, or do my actions align? Do I put my money where my mouth is? Am I preparing myself to be a builder, a producer, a problem solver, or just another consumer in the crowd? That reflection changed me, and it shifted my understanding of what it means to be African today. It's no longer about just waiting for good leaders or a savior, but to be willing to build, no matter how small, from where I stand. I began to imagine an Africa where our children wear clothes produced in Accra, drink juice bottled in Nairobi, drive cars assembled in Johannesburg, and use phones produced in Kinshasa. An Africa where our confidence is no longer in the castles in the sky. An Africa where our confidence is no longer in the castles in the sky, but in the foundation that we built with our own hands. So, I'll not end this off by only telling you what you should do. I'll start with myself. Since reading Onyeni's book, I've made small but deliberate changes. Checking labels before I buy, looking to buy local where possible, and thinking critically about how my studies can help me be prepared to build here. That is how I am taking my own advice. And that is the beginning of transformation in the small decisions you take daily. You are the next African giant. I am the next African giant. And if I can start here, then you certainly can too. Thank you.